Just to know you're here to stay. I walk with faith, not with fear. Every step I know you're near. Through the doubt, through the rain, you're the calm inside the flame. Even when the night is long, your light leads me on. So I walk.
Blessings, everyone. Welcome to the Walk with Faith podcast. Special guest, Jasmine Coppage. Hi, Jasmine.
Hi, Molly. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Sure.
So can you start with telling people who you are?
So, gosh, that's a deep, no, I'm kidding. I am an intuitive empath. That's how I talk about myself. But I also have many other, abilities, psychic senses. But I feel like I could see people's futures, like, their timeline, future timeline, their best self. And I'm just like a in a way, the way shower and like a truth bomb person. I don't know why. Like I feel like I'm like the sword of truth. Like, I'm
Right.
I'm there to kind of break the way, pave the way, and kind of help people work through some of their issues intuitively.
I think that's amazing.
That was a mouthful.
No, it's fantastic. So do you feel, I want to, before we get started on your questions, so the sort of truth, truth bomb. I
Yeah,
feel like that's a beautiful thing. So you feel like being that sort of truth, it's illuminating people to what they need to see for their
yeah,
own best selves for their future. So you can see what is for their highest good for their future selves and then kind of cutting through the illusion.
right.
Okay.
Right. Cut through the illusion. And then sometimes it's things they don't want to hear. But I feel like if spirit is guiding me and I'm staying surrendered and I'm feeling intuitively like I'm supposed to say something, it's for a reason. So their ego self may not want to hear it, but their spirit needs them to hear it, for some reason, for some growth that they need to go through. So I just have learned to just let go of overthinking what I'm saying to people and just let it flow. So, because it's always for a reason. And I've found that out through experience, especially recently. It's always for a reason why I'm guided to say certain things.
So can you explain what happened recently for people? Is that
Um,
oh, just briefly?
there's there's been some people I'm trying to think of one of the best examples I could use was there's somebody that's going through their mother's going through a hard time. And I was just talking to her today and a friend of mine at work. And so it's really, she's going through a lot. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes people, don't want to hear certain things or they don't know certain things that are spirit related, they're open to spirituality, but they may not know that there may be blockages in certain areas and why something in the physical in their body is manifesting in a certain area of their body. And when I deliver news, sometimes it's hard, I feel like, for some people to hear, even though it's that somebody else that's related to them. And I don't think that she had an issue with it. I don't know. I don't know if I was picking up on her mother, like kind of being maybe she's not looking at something or something. I was picking up on something, but I couldn't put my finger on who it was. So but I feel like, sometimes people they don't want to hear certain things or it's too difficult for them to hear it, and they've shied away from dealing with it. When somebody like me comes along, I just call it right out because I see it, I hear it, and it's always for a reason. Like something specific, like you're not speaking your truth. Like if there's something manifesting around your throat chakra area and this area in the body,
Absolutely.
you're not speaking your truth. There's something that you're holding on to that you're not voicing, and I had to deliver that message. And I hope she receives it well. She said she was going to pass it on. But it's just stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like people are not wanting to look at the darker things that, maybe their subconscious is trying to protect them from it. They compartmentalize it and they are scared to go there. And I'm usually am the person that is brought in at the right time, divine timing in that person's life, or the message is brought in through somebody else from me to deliver to them that will help them release whatever that is and work through it. So,
Right. I think that's really hard for people to hear the truth sometimes because they've been in the darkness for so long, um or they haven't acknowledged um and aren't ready to receive it. But I feel like you delivering the message that's divinely guided, um, with the way that you do it, it helps people open up their eyes to maybe what they've had their blindfold on
I mean, it
for so
happened to
long.
me recently. I mean, you helped me through that, to work past that blockage to move
I
forward with the
know.
podcast. And I'm really grateful still to this day. It's like, thank you, Molly.
You're welcome.
And it's just amazing how God sends you those people. I was praying, like, please show me where this blockage is that's keeping me stuck in this looping pattern of overthinking and not moving forward. And I can't, and indecisiveness. And then it was delivered through you. Like the message was delivered, and you helped me walk through it to heal myself. Like
I
you just
loved
walk, all
that
you did was
day.
a facilitator. You just walked me through it and asked the right questions.
That's right.
And I
That's
feel
what
like sometimes that's me too for others. I
exactly.
intuitively feel guided to ask certain questions, and it's like, boom, it dawns on them. Oh yeah, that's right. You're hit the nail on the head. I forgot all about that, And they're like, I bet that's what it is. I'm like, well,
That's
just a
exactly it.
facilitator. Like,
No, exactly. Because, and I will always remember that. I remember when we had our live and we were chatting and we had that discussion together. And I'm like, okay, well, and I did. I asked you questions step by step, guided you through it. And that's what we need from each other. But you were the one that made the choices, got your power back. Yeah, I was just the little nudge, the guide, the
mhm.
support system, and you worked through it. And I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited about where this is going. I've already got a collaboration. Um, So yeah, one of your watchers became
Yay!
a good friend of mine. I interviewed him recently, and we immediately it clicked. Had a lot of synchronicities during our 4 hour conversation.
Wow.
And I mean, it was hard to tear apart from talking to him. We were just the energy was flowing, and it was so exciting that we neither one of us wanted to quit talking to each other. But last I had to go to bed. It was like
Yeah.
2:30 in the morning. But thank goodness the next day was Saturday, so I could sleep in a little bit. But it's amazing to me the things that since I took that leap of faith and decided to surrender to that and work through that, as scary as it was and as hard as it was to express those feelings. And I mean, it took me 2 days to almost 3 days, I think, from what I remember. It was a whole weekend that I had to work through and releasing all that crying and all that emotion that was trapped from feeling unworthy.
And you're so worthy.
Yeah, we all are.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. So many
Absolutely.
people don't realize, I think, their sense of unworthiness in certain things until somebody starts asking those questions or they start asking themselves those questions. They really don't see a problem, they don't think there's anything wrong with them. But when you
Yeah.
start digging into why you have a dream, why are you not working forward on that dream? When you start asking them certain questions about what's keeping you stuck and you drill down, that's when they start realizing, oh, wow, I never thought that I was holding myself back because of that. But
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming to me and thank you for allowing me to, like, you were vulnerable enough, as scary as that was. You allowed me to ask those questions and to work with you. And then you received them. And then you took that weekend, those days, that week to process and purge. So that takes a lot of strength from you and vulnerability and openness to receive that.
right,
So,
I
so
had to
thank you.
learn how to be more open with people I was guided to be open with.
Yeah,
And I had to learn how to trust myself and my intuition. That's another thing that, I asked my higher self, what do I need to work on to come into inner union? I think we talked about this. Did we talk about this on our pod? I think we did. I
I
touched
think
on it.
so.
I thought we did. I asked my higher self and I
Hmm.
channeled that information through that. One of the things was you need to trust yourself and you need to trust your intuition more than you are. And in
Absolutely.
order to come into inner union, I just needed to build that trust with myself and my inner self, and my higher self.
That's right. That's right. I would like to ask you too, because this is coming through and we got to follow that guidance.
Right.
So you did ask me about my twin flame journey a little bit. I'd like to ask you if you could share with people who are on the twin flame journey what it's been like for you.
Very interesting. If I were to pick one word, you know, it's not, definitely not a cakewalk. We currently, I'll just tell you the current state of things, and then I'll go back and tell the story. So the current state we are in now in our where we're at in our journey is we're in the full no contact phase. We have been there since the day after my birthday last year, December 9th. And I made that choice. I was divinely shown that he was breadcrumbing me, even as a friend. And it just, my spiritual eyes were open to the fact that he was using the connection, energetic connection with me. And when he would reach out and contact me, and I would give him that energy back to respond and stuff, that he was using that creative energy of mine to build for him and his karmic. I don't know. Some people don't like to use that term, but I use that term so people that are listening will know who I'm referring to. His karmic, because he decided to stay in a toxic karmic relationship, and I got out of mine that I was in. He was using that to stay stuck and build for them finances and things. And when I was shown that, I was like, oh no, put up the sword and was like, I know what I gotta do now. And it was like something took over, like completely, like my masculine side or something took over, was like, okay, put the sword down. And I just basically told him, look, I feel like you're taking me for granted, and I can't I can't do this anymore. I can't give to this relationship anymore. If you want to keep me in your life, then you had the ball's in your court. And that's pretty much where we left off. And I haven't heard his thing since. He ghosted me. So, but to go back, we've been going on this journey, and I've been activating on it for about 3 years now. I think it was in 2023 when we started talking as friends. He approached me. We worked together for nearly 7 years. I just passed my 7-year anniversary where I work. And he lost his job there in May of last year. So that's when we went into physical separation, but the no contact started, months after that. Um, but he approached me because he overheard me telling a mutual coworker friend, a female friend, I worked very closely with her. Um, he walked in on a conversation with me and her when I was telling her I was about to get a divorce. And she had to go somewhere, so she left the room, and it was just me and him. And so he was basically saying, hey, I'm kind of going through the same thing. Maybe we can help each other out, support each other, talk, talk it out with each other, whatever, help each other out as friends or whatever. And I had a couple conversations over the years with him that went pretty deep about our relationships, like issues with my marriage, issues with his marriage. And then it never, I try to keep things professional because it's a corporate environment. I try to keep things very professional there. So we finished conversation, whatever, and I move on and went about my business. Well, when he approached me with that, I was like, I normally would not talk to a married man outside of work, but I don't know. I was like, for some reason, I just followed my intuition. I just followed my intuition to go ahead and do it. And I mean, it was not something I would typically do because I'm pretty against that. Well, because of the situation, I was like, I could use some support. So, and he probably could too. So, and I'd build trust up with him over the years working with him. He seemed like a decent guy. So I trusted him enough where I felt like we could do that without any craziness going on, I thought. So we started talking, it went really quickly. We had a deep emotional connection, but I could tell he wouldn't go past a certain point emotionally. And I identify as the divine feminine. He's actually the one. This is what's crazy. Before I think it was about the time. No, I think we had been talking. I'm trying to remember, like it's been a couple years. We were early into the friendship, and he had told me and the coworker friend that he's like, one of you is a soulmate, one of you is a twin flame, but I'm not sure which yet.
Wow.
And so he's the one that brought it up to me, which is unusual for the masculine. So, but I think he was already into
Yes.
spirituality stuff, and he was he's a part of a religious institution and very much involved in his church. But he has this other side that's very open to spirituality and spiritual. I'm so sorry, my little
No,
just fell down.
no, that's a sign.
Alrighty.
That is confirmation for me.
That's funny. That scared the dickens out of me.
That is confirmation for me. No,
Yeah.
you're good.
So yeah, it was crazy that he was the one to bring that up. And at that time, like I was really into spiritual stuff, but I had never really delved into what twin flames were. I've heard the term. I didn't know
Right.
much about it. So I kind of giggled. I was like, really? So that night I went and started looking, the rabbit hole of going and looking what twin flames and all these tarot readings and things came up. And the more I learned about it, the more I was convinced that we were twin flames. Because I even told him before that I cannot believe, I told him on several occasions when we were talking on our way home on the phone or whatever, that it's so crazy to me that we had so many similarities between dynamics in our relationships with we both lost our fathers around the same age, pretty young in our lives. Um, we both had somewhat toxic mothers. I had a very bipolar toxic mother that was very controlling and manipulative. And I believe he was trying to tell me one day that he has some things, his mother there were some things here. I don't know what, but he didn't never really got into it real deep because he was having trouble voicing it and verbalizing it.
Right.
But I could tell that was also a similarity. Similar things with our marriages, like the dynamics with the karmics that we were with. Um, and just like it was just to me, it was too much of a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences anymore. Especially since I've been activated on this journey. I know there's no coincidences. So
Mm-hmm.
it was weird to me because I have other soulmates that I've been with in this lifetime
Yeah.
and closed out contracts and karma with in this lifetime. And yes, there's always a few similarities, in your journeys. But with this, it was almost everything. And I've never seen that before in my life. And I said, this is beyond crazy to me. And I said, I'm convinced. I came back on us, I'm convinced that we are twin flames. And I said, and I don't say that with any lightness at all. It was too much to be a coincidence. And it is what it is. But we were in the bubble phase for about 3 months, getting to know each other, talking all the time. He was initiating a lot of the contact with me. And then somewhere about time, I don't know exactly what the triggering moment was that we went into the triggering of our wound phase when the bubble phase ended, but it was very difficult because he pulled back. And then the triggering started on my end of feeling inadequate, feeling like I'm not good enough, unworthy, I was too overweight, whatever it was.
Right.
Because he kind of when we started talking, he said, after we started talking outside of work, because we were talking for a good month at work on our breaks and stuff before I decided to give him my number and talk outside of work.
Okay.
It was when we started talking outside of work, and he was kind of like, well, let's just see where it goes. Like, we'll be friends, start as friends, always believe in starting friends, but we'll see where it goes. So again, he kind of led on like it was potentially could turn into something else, which led me on. And I'm like, I was fine with friends, but yeah, there was definitely strong attraction there. And I do recall, like when I first met him 7 years ago, like the first day we saw each other, and he had to do something with, my equipment or whatever. And I remember him turning back when he got to the door to walk through into the next room. Like he turned around, looked at me, and he smiled, and I was like, wow. I remember just hearing wow in my head.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. It was just
That's
wow.
funny. I
Yeah.
remember that
We
too.
met eyes, and it was
I mean, with
wow.
mine. Yeah.
And I don't know why, but that's just what went in my head. I was like, okay. And then I just try to, get back on task and do my thing, at work. And so yeah, I do remember that. And then not long after that, I was guided to get a past life regression done through a QHHT practitioner with Dolores Cannon. So I think even then that was slowly starting to get me started on my journey. But I don't think that, in my opinion, I don't think our journey truly began until we befriended each other, because that's really when the bubble phase happened, the triggering began and all that. So that's been the last 3 years. But yeah, this whole thing, like I felt like he was playing games with me, with my coworker friend, trying to purposely make me jealous because he would give her compliments and things like that in front of me, and then I would feel
Mhm.
hurt and I'd go running crying away, um and I wouldn't let them talk to me. I just like withdraw and, go home and cry. They would leave together, uh, and then I would cry after they left. So it was very, very difficult for me emotionally. All these wounds were coming up to be dealt with, and I think I was so early on the journey, I didn't really realize that the shadow work was a big component of it. So it kind
Huge.
of, I
Yeah.
was like, kind of like
Yeah.
in my feels and didn't know what to do
Right.
besides try to talk to him about it. So one day I just sat him down. I was like, I need to talk to you today when get some time on your lunch or whatever. So I sat him down and I mean, our coworker friend went there that day, I don't think, and I just told him everything. I told him how I felt. I told him that I realized that I'd fallen in love with him and I did not anticipate that happening. And we
Wow.
can't have that because we work together, and that's not something that we can do. I mean, obviously it's something my heart wanted to do, but he's not available and I was going through a divorce. Well, he kind of didn't really have a whole lot to say about that, but I'm sorry, I guess. I mean, he just said, I didn't mean to hurt you, whatever, but he just kept on doing it after that. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
that's nice.
Thanks for the I'm sorry, but there's no
There's no
evolution, no
action to
change.
show
There's
that
no
you're
action
sorry.
behind. Yeah, there's no action behind the I'm
Right.
sorry.
So I had to remove myself from that shared space that we were, me and her shared. And I had a separate like office pod that we had just gotten set up and we hadn't really officially moved in. And I just decided to move my stuff in after they left one night and I was bawling my eyes out. I said, I can't do this anymore. I need to remove myself from this and just try to get around it
Exactly.
and move, stay focused. And I withdrew from him. A couple months later, he approached me at work one day when she wasn't there and was like trying to talk to me. He's like, I need to talk to you. Can you talk later? And I was like, yeah. So on my break, he came by and he could not get, it feels like he had trouble finding the words to tell me what he wanted to tell me. And again, it's a very typical divine masculine thing in their wounded state, that throat chakra blockage. And I kept asking him questions like, what are you getting at? Like I was already pissed as it was because I find out right before that. I overhear him talking to our coworker friend when we're walking out to go to the break room or something that they're remodeling a house together, like him and his wife. And I was like, whoa, 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 hold up,
Oh,
huh? And you didn't tell me that you decided to stay and stop the divorce. So I was pissed when I called him out on that. I was like, okay, you could have told me that and I wouldn't definitely shut down communication with you then. Like, so again, he didn't tell me, he didn't communicate, he was being deceptive. And I didn't really see it for what it was. I had the rose-colored glasses on. I still was in love with him. And I didn't want to see things for what they were, that he was being a bit manipulative or quite manipulative and controlling the situation. In a way, I started noticing that I was being controlling in other ways in my life. So I was being guided to let go of control issues as well.
that's good.
But it's just that we went through that. It was very hard. I had to try to remain my composure because while, in a professional job, I had to try to keep it hidden as much as I could, the crying and stuff when nobody was there and praying and things. And one day it just became too much. Like I was walking all the way around this big room and through an exit door in the other rooms just to go around them so I wouldn't have to go near them and interact with them. And he called me one day and he was like, by the way, I think, I'm pretty sure we are twin flames. I was like, no, I already told you we are. I already know. I know.
Yeah.
But I got really mad and I just called him out on this stuff. I'm like, why are you two, you're spending too much time together. You're gonna get in trouble for this stuff. Like I'm telling you, it I just really just told him, I said, I really caution you guys. I did both of them individually. I said, I caution you guys that spending so much time together. Yes, they were working on some projects together, but not that much time. And he was following her around the building and things like that. And I was just like, look, I'm worried about you guys. Like, I don't want to see either one of you lose your jobs. And it just so happened, I think the way he lost his job, it was related to that. Is what I think. And
Yeah.
pretty much from what I've heard, around rumor mill or whatever. So it was hard to hear that. But what was crazy was the timing of it was about a day or two after I prayed to God. I pleaded with God. They left together one night again, and I just bawled my eyes out, being completely ignored by him.
Sorry.
Um, like a non-existent. He just acted like he didn't care. And I'm like, wow, okay. I don't know why I kept chasing after him, like why would I do that? I don't know, because I was wounded.
I did it. I did it too.
And then I go back, I think back at it, and I'm like, I look so pathetic. Like,
I did it
why would I do
too.
that to this guy? I normally would not do that to a guy. Like, it's usually the guys that want me, and I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Why would I would allow this? I wasn't seeing it at the time. I had the rose-colored glasses
Oh my
on.
gosh.
And yeah, but I prayed to God one day. I was like, God, I can't do this anymore. Please help. Please do something
That's
about the
right.
situation with
That's
them and
right.
him. I can't do it anymore. Please. And it was like within, like I said, a day or two that he wasn't there. And I just thought he had an auto thing on his email that said was on PTO. I just thought, oh, well, his son's about to graduate. He's probably went ahead and took some time off to spend with his son.
Right.
And so it turned into 2 or 3 days, and then it was the next week, and I didn't hear anything from him. Nothing. And he
Wow.
was in the next week, and it was just becoming weird. And I remember asking my coworker friend about it, and she just immediately was like this. So I knew something had happened immediately, like between them. Something happened that she was told to be quiet about. And I just thought, well, eventually I'll find out about it, I'm sure. So I just was like, okay, I'm not going to talk to her about
Wow. Yeah.
it. So I found it eventually, like I said, through people talking, and I did talk to him about it and got his take on it eventually. But yeah, it was like after about a week of it, when I found out he was actually truly gone, that I prayed about it, and I was like, God, do you want me to reach out to him? Like, what do I reach out to him? Is that should I do? And I kept feeling like I needed to reach out to him and check on him and just let him know I'm praying for him. And we have a mutual coworker friend that's kind of took over for him when he was there, that they have a side business together outside of work. And so he's been in regular communication with him. And he came by and talked to me, and we were talking about what happened. And I said, and I just told him, I was like, man, I've been praying about reaching out to him, and I don't know you know, if I should,
Right.
because the situation, told him a little bit about the situation between him and I. Um, and he's like, you know what? He needs the support. He would love to hear from you, and just know that you're there praying and everything. So I did. I reached out to him, and we had a great conversation and things, and he learned a lot from that experience, and he grew a lot for that. Um, and so we just, started talking here and there, chit-chatting, not a lot, but periodically. I felt like things were being reconciled. I didn't know, I was still young and early in the journey in my first year. And so I was like, okay, well, I was getting tarot readings. I was just trying to figure out what's going on with this. Like, what are we supposed to do together? I kept feeling like we had a joint mission together. I think I told you that we were supposed to do something together. And I think soon after that, I started getting like divine channelings that I would type out on Word documents of our things we were supposed to do together, our soul work and our life mission work. And so I kept thinking, like, what do I need to do? Like, what am I doing? What am I supposed to do? And I was starting to let go of chasing. And the more I let go, the less I heard from him. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. I've been here for you. I've been praying for you. I've tried to meet up with you. He tried to schedule a meet up with me. I had a birthday gift to give him because his birthday was like the month after he lost his job. And I'm like, I got this gift for you. I mean, do you want it? I can give it to your coworker, my coworker friend that works with you. And he's like, oh, no. I'll get it from you. I don't know, hardly ever see him. So I'm like, I'm just trying to move on. I'm just trying to give this to you and I can move on, whatever. And it just didn't happen. He tried 3 times to schedule a meetup with me and it never happened. And I knew it was like on his end. I mean, whatever it was. So anyway, and he told me, he's like, he's been upfront with his wife and never hid anything about us trying to meet up and all that. He's told her about all that. But I just, I'm like, fine. I ended up donating his gift. I kind of joked around about it when he, I think I texted him in October last year and I said, hey, I just want to let you know I love you and I'm praying for you and whatever, you're in my prayers and I just want to let you know I love you.
Right.
And he was like, thank you, I love you too. Appreciate it, whatever. We talked for a little, little bit, and then it was another ghost for 2 months and I didn't hear from him. And I told myself, I'm not gonna reach out anymore. I'm done. Like, it is what it is. Like, I don't know what else to do. He's ghosted me. He doesn't want me in his life. I'm just going to do work on myself and work on this podcast. And I tried to get it started about that time a couple times and started over twice and got stuck both times at a certain level. And it was that blockage that you helped
That
me
we
through.
worked on.
Yeah. But it was when he texted me for my birthday, like a couple months of not hearing from him, told me happy birthday. I was like, oh, thanks. We started chit-chatting and, flirting, whatever, in the text. Not, just like we always do. He's always been like that with everybody. And then like the next day is when it dawned on me, like when I was like, look, I still have this gift for you, by the way. Oh yeah, I forgot. He says, okay. Chopped liver, I guess. That's what I am. Like,
Right.
apparently I'm not as important as you say I am to you, because otherwise you would have reached out to me before now and you would have set this up. So it just started dawning on me that he was just treating me like an option, like like I'd always be there,
Right.
And I was like, I'm done, and then that's when I was just like, my eyes were opened up to the fact what he was doing. And I'm like, oh man, oh heck no, 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 we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's where my
Done.
energy is going. It's being siphoned by him.
You're
And that's why I don't
done.
have money.
You're cut off. No more of this beautiful
Yeah.
divine feminine essence for you.
And I didn't know that was a thing. I
Oh
really
yeah.
didn't. I didn't know that they could do that.
Oh
And
yeah.
they can siphon it from you and then use it to create finances and everything else for themselves in their life. And really,
Yes.
the other thing I was shown was I was not only keeping myself stuck by not letting him go and surrendering him, I was keeping him stuck on his healing journey in a way. Now, he
Absolutely.
could have still learned those lessons, but the lessons we needed to teach each other, I was keeping us stuck, and then I was keeping him stuck. And when I realized that, I was like, wow, I'm not doing this anymore. I gotta let him go and just surrender it to God. And if it's meant to be, it'll come back. But I've gone through so much since then of being by myself, working through my loneliness, fears of being by myself. And I'm in my mid 40s, overweight with almost a teenage daughter. Like, what
You're
decent guy, you know what I
beautiful.
mean? Like all those
You're
insecurities and unworthiness, it's going to be hard to find somebody. And that's one reason why I stayed stuck in my relationship, my toxic ex relationship with him for so long, was because it was scary to, for one, molestation hits home for me. My sister was molested, and I believe my brother was, from what I've heard. And it is really like, it's a big concern of mine that have my daughter, that something like that happened to my
of
daughter.
course.
And these days it's so prevalent, you just don't know who you could trust. And that was a real concern of mine. I even told my twin that. And I said, with you in the beginning with the bubble phase, I told him, I said, I've never felt as safe as I do with you. Even I feel safer with you, which was crazy because he was in his wounded state, right? He wasn't in his true healed,
Masculine.
divine, masculine state.
Masculine.
Just his essence in the beginning, that when we're connecting, that energy made me feel safe. And I felt like it was like safer than being with my dad. And I told him that. I said, I've never felt this way about a guy before. It's so weird. And what's crazy is that he was ended up being toxic and manipulative and deceptive in his own way. And I think a lot of it is this, you're believing your own illusion. Just like I was believing the illusion about things. You're believing there's nothing wrong with you. It's ego. You think you're good. What you're doing is okay.
Right.
Instead of really looking at yourself and your actions and why you're doing what you're doing to people.
Absolutely.
Why would they
Absolutely.
accuse you of doing X, Y, Z? Well, let me look at that, You just think, oh, that's them projecting on me and there's nothing wrong with me. And I'm not saying to do that when everybody, projects at you and says you're doing something, but use your intuition. Usually there's a reason why some people bring certain things up to you. Um, like at least might be something to look at. I at least take the opportunity to look at myself.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah,
That's very important because we're all wounded. We've all come
right.
here wounded. We are not perfect. We have to look at ourselves.
Yeah,
And if even if we don't intentionally try to do something, if someone brings it to our attention, if we just disregard, no, we should go inward and be like, okay, well, did I do that? Do I need to work on something? How can I not do that again? Because maybe it affected this person in this way and we need to resolve it. Not like, oh no, I didn't do anything. No, we
yeah.
have to take, yeah, we have to work on our own.
Accountability, right?
Yeah,
Take accountability for
absolute
your actions. And
accountability.
even if you weren't aware of it, it's
So,
a self-sabotaging, usually self-sabotage somewhere. There's a wound there that's causing subconscious actions to happen when you're not consciously, maybe purposely doing things. And I found that out in my case. Like I was doing some things like that, that I was self-sabotaging myself in relationships and, would purposely, settle for people that were less than what I deserved. Because that's what I believed I deserved at the time. I didn't realize that I was really self-sabotaging myself by allowing certain behaviors and
right.
things. I thought it was just what you do, you compromise. But there's a difference between compromising and settling.
And
I've learned a
settling and
lesson.
sacrificing. I mentioned this
Yes,
with
self-sacrifice was something I was big on doing and sabotaging myself. And
we
I
don't
had to
want
learn
to
a
do
lot of
that.
self-love with healthy boundaries. Yeah.
Absolutely,
And I'm still learning
Jasmine.
it. So,
Absolutely. Like I know I mentioned this with Nancy on the last one. It's like if I want one of the biggest things I feel like for a divine masculine, divine feminine to have a healthy, safe relationship is for that masculine to come in. You made such a good point. You felt so safe. Safety, that bubble, that so you
mhm.
could be in your soft, divine feminine energy. But that takes both healthy individuals who have done the work and also, to me, that's so massive, Jasmine. It almost gets me emotional because there are so many people out there who are not vulnerable with their heart. Like these masculines cannot be vulnerable. And that is something that we have to set boundaries on because in order to feel safe and have that connection, you have to be open and vulnerable. I
Right.
feel
And I
like,
was with him. And because he
yeah,
wanted that. He actually stated that in the beginning that
that
his
means
dad,
trend.
before he passed, he talked a difference about Eros love and agape love. And he
Right.
experienced, agape love with friends, with love, whatever, in his life. And that's one thing he asked of me was that I would give it, a real wholehearted effort to do that and be love unconditional. And I did that. I absolutely did that, but I did it to my own hurt. I overextended myself. I overgave, and I learned the hard way. That's how we learn is going through those trials, going through the heartbreak. And that's a big part of the twin flame journey is those
It's
wounds
so
of
hard.
overgiving. And I was too much of my masculine too.
That
And
is the masculine. That is the wounded. That's the overgiver, the people pleaser. If
yep.
if I don't overgive and do this, then they're not going to want me. They're not going to love
Yeah.
me. But the masculine is the doer, the builder, the goer. We're the receiver. And so when we pull back and we give to ourselves, and we
Right.
know that, yeah, it shifts everything. But I did the same thing, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I remember that. I look back and I'm going,
You're embarrassed. Like you're
I
ashamed. You feel so
chased,
ashamed.
I
You're like, I
chased
can't
this
believe of all
man.
people. I used to help walk people out of situations. I can't believe of all people I was doing that.
I was chasing this man down.
Yeah. Like, why was
Now
I doing that?
I haven't had any contact with this person since 2021. They're on their own journey. But
Yeah.
wow, yeah, I look back and I'm going, "Oh my
And now I've got a
gosh.
new masculine in my life that makes me feel very safe. He's
Wow.
open and vulnerable. He's done a lot of inner work on himself and he has a very great connection with God, with the
Oh
divine.
my gosh. I'm so
And he
happy
gets
for
divine
you."
dreams. We both had the craziest dream sync the other night. I've never had this happen with anybody. He gets very vivid dreams every single night. I've never met, number one, I've never met anybody that does that. Um, and I love hearing about his dreams every day. I'm like, okay, what did you dream about last night? It's like a story, and you're like, oh. And he's told
Oh,
me before that some of his dreams have actually come to pass, like they're prophetic. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So I was feeling the energy shift, like And the other night, this was probably, I can't remember if it was Sunday night, and I woke up Monday morning crying. I think that's what it was. It was either Monday or Tuesday, but I think it was Monday. So I woke up because I had a vivid dream about my twin. In that we were in this big house. I guess it was my house or a rental. I don't know what it was, but it was like it was something related to me, like whether we were renting it or it was one of our maybe a vacation rental I don't know, or Airbnb, I don't know. But it was this big house. I had a bunch of people over. Some of my family was over, and I knew, the particular people that were there. It looks like we were having a celebration. And at the time, I didn't know what type of celebration it was. I just knew that we were there having a celebration for a member of the family. This is what's crazy. You'll find out when you hear about his dream the same night at the same time.
Wow.
We woke up within less than an hour of each other before our
Wow.
alarms. Yeah, it's crazy. And we were both very emotional when we woke up. So my dream was I was about to have the celebration. I had even, friends and family. I decided to go out for a walk down the street and back. I don't know why. We just did the dream. And I remember he showed up like unannounced at the party, I guess. And I was like, "Hey, I'm glad you're here." And I came with somebody like his uncle or somebody, and I don't know who this person is. It was another masculine, older masculine he came with. And I don't remember what he looked like or anything. So I just knew that he was there. So I apologized for the house looking crazy because there was kids running around and there's toys on the floor. And we go to sit down, and I think we ended up going for the walk. He went for the walk with me in the group, and he was in the very back of the group, but I could feel him eyeballing me, as I was walking in front of him. I'm like, really? And then we get back to the house, and we all everybody goes in their ways, and then he follows me, him and his uncle, whoever it was, follow me, and we went to this den area where it was like a sitting area, and we were private in there. And so I guess his uncle went in the other room or whatever, and we we needed to have this conversation, a private conversation. And I said, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you showing up. It's good to see you. We caught up a little bit. And I said, I'm glad you came because I need to talk to you about something. I said, I need to let you know that this is I might get emotional, I don't know. But I said, I need to tell you that I've met somebody. And, and
Wow.
sorry. So
No,
I've met
you're okay.
somebody, and he's a wonderful man, and he's got a great heart, and he's very protective of me and Lily, and he's a wonderful provider, and he's taking care of me and Lily. And I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I'm saying goodbye to you. And I just wanted to tell you goodbye in person. So I'm glad you came because I needed, to have this discussion with you, and I wanted to be on amicable, terms with you since we haven't talked in a long time. So that's what the conversation was about, was me telling goodbye, and I started crying in the dream, and we hugged, and his
Wow.
uncle came in there, and he was like, all right, we got to go. And then I walked him to the door, and they walked out and left. And then from what I remember, I was crying, and I woke up, and it was like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes before my alarm went off. My first one went off at like 5 something in the morning. Well, I text my guy friend, and I told him, hey, you know, I need to talk to you on my way into work, about this dream I had. I woke up crying. And he was like, I had a very emotional dream too. So yeah, we'll talk. I'll tell you about mine. He had two of them back to back, and all of them have been about me in the last month since we met. It's been 6 weeks, so 6 or 7. I think this is the seventh week.
Wow.
And every night he says it's had me in his dreams. Um, and a lot of them are future based, which is crazy. But he had this one dream at the same time I was having this other dream. The first one was basically about him and my twin. He
Oh,
didn't
wow.
At that time he hadn't seen a picture of him or nothing. He didn't know who he was. He just knew that that's who it was. He was interacting with
Wow.
the energy, I guess, energetically. And there was a fight over me. Like he had popped up unannounced, my twin, at my house.
Oh
Just
my
like, remember my
gosh.
dream I told you on the 222 portal where he did that? He showed up unannounced at my house after not talking to him in months.
Yes.
And
And
he wanted to apologize to me. Remember, just like the readings you said, you predicted. He wanted to apologize to me. He was divorced. He was wanting to tell me he was in love with me for years, for a long time. And he was just felt like he wasn't worthy, wasn't good enough, whatever. And I was like, so why are you telling me all this now? Like, he's like, because I want to marry you. And I was like, what?
Oh
Like, I
my.
don't, you just show up out of nowhere and you dump this on me and I'm happy now. And you just, and of course, at that time on the 222 portal, I had met this other masculine, I was fine. I was like, oh yeah, I would accept him, blah, 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 as long as he did XYZ and proved himself in his actions, over time. I wouldn't just jump in to say yes, I would make him prove himself. And it's amazing how that shift has happened in the last few months since the 222 portal until
Wow.
even my call with you, I was already starting to shift away from him and detaching even more from him energetically and trying to focus more on myself and less on readings and things like that and thoughts of him. And how the shift started to happen. And then right when I went through that breakthrough with you in less than 7 days, I think it was 5 or 6 days, this masculine showed up in my life.
Oh my
I
gosh.
moved past that blockage and started taking actual steps towards my getting my podcast started seriously.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's when he showed
It's
up.
amazing.
And I'm like, what? So I'm thinking he's like a kingdom spouse. Or like that's exactly, it's the weirdest thing is I was so drawn to him energetically and physically, and he's not even my type. Like that's what's so weird. And I kept saying, I said, I don't know what it is other than your energy. I am drawn to your energy, and it's a very strong pull. And I'm just a different person when I'm around him. I'm my authentic spiritual self when I'm around him. I don't feel like I can hide or if I don't want to hide. It's like he embraces that part of me, even
I
though
love it.
he's becoming more spiritual himself. He's a religious person, but he's becoming more spiritual and he has that personal relationship with God. And it's like I don't know, he's drawn to me and he's told me that too. He's like, I'm having dreams about you. He hears like his guys and things, and he hears them talking to him. And when he first met me, it was because of a lawnmower ad in Marketplace that he placed, and I needed to use a lawnmower, right? And turns out he knew my ex very well, longer than
Mhm.
I did and better than I did. He known him longer, and he didn't like him. And he knew we used to go singing karaoke in the same places, which is crazy. And we didn't even know each other back then. But the same time that we were singing
Wow.
karaoke, he was there and we never ran into each other. And I'm going, he remembered me. I never really was introduced to him, so I didn't really know him. There was a lot of guys in the bars, way back then. And I don't go to those anymore, but I was singing a lot of karaoke back then when I was single way back then. But it's crazy how he knew me. He knows a lot of mutual friends of mine in the area. It's like, and he knows my ex. And he's had a dream about him too, where he was coming in and he was like putting his foot down with my ex and like, listen,
Wow.
we need to get along for your daughter's sake. And I was like, what? So there's some
Wow.
crazy dreams that he's had, and it's always him protecting, being the protector, the divine protect, like the physical coming in and being that masculine in my life to lay the law down, protect us, and you know, provide a safe place. That's him.
That's so awesome,
And
Jasmine.
it's so crazy
Wow.
because I told him I was like, I've never been this pulled to somebody, like physically and everything. And it's like I feel energetically like I'm on my goddess self when I'm around him.
Oh my
It's
gosh. I
so,
love this
bizarre.
so
I go
much.
into a different realm when we're even touching, like even just hugging or, holding hands or whatever. It's like I go to this ethereal place and it's like, wow. And I physically saw this is the masculine that's being the grounder for me. He's grounding me so that I can
I'm
do my work and
so
he can protect
happy.
me in my life. And he wants to be a partner. Remember the partnership thing came out?
Oh my gosh, Jasmine.
He
Oh,
wants to be a partner in this life in the podcast and doing this, sharing his story. He wants to come on the podcast and share his story.
I'm so
So
happy for you. I'm
yeah,
happy for both you for this is amazing.
the
All
fact
of
that
you.
I was even willing to just let go of my twin because that was so much of an
Yeah.
anchor for me was believe in that, we were meant to be together because I received those channelings and things. And I wasn't, I was like trying to keep the faith. That was me. I was like, I got to keep the faith. I got to keep the faith, that it's going to happen and think positive, whatever. And I had to just let go of it. I mean,
That's really important. I mean, yeah, we keep the faith and we want the best. Of course, if it's meant to be, it will be, but we can't
right.
hang on to that outcome that we're going to be together. It has to be that way. No, we release it,
Mhm.
give it, and we focus on us and we keep moving forward and we have to be open. Like, I've already released mine. That I've given them to
That's
God.
hard. It's really hard because those obsessive thoughts are like I feel like they're constantly coming at you when you're trying to detach. And I've been in narcissistic relationships before where that's what happens. You start to pull back, you start to create boundaries, and boom, that person shows up at your door. They don't like that. And they're right there trying to get you to loop back in and wrapped around their finger again. And that's their MO. That's what they do. And I felt like that was me with him energetically. Like it was constantly this pull, tug and pull, the push pull. And, I would get these obsessive thoughts about him. I would want to, watch constant readings all the time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm
I
tired.
went through that. I went through that the first year.
Yeah, it was a whole
So
year. You're
it
right. You're
was
right
the
at that. It was like
first
a whole
year.
year. Yep.
And then I released it. And then I moved from California to Texas. And I was like, I gotta let my old life go. It doesn't matter what's in it. I have to move forward and I have to really pour into me, my
Right.
son, and puppy moon. And I had to let it go. I just release it. And then that's when I'm like, you know what? There's gonna be somebody who's gonna come in at some point, or maybe not, whatever it is, that's going to be like a kingdom spouse or aligned with me. And I was like, I know exactly what I want. And I sat there in prayer and I wrote it down like, this is what I
Yep. Like I
want.
told you, I
This
did.
is
I
what
had
I,
2 pages of typed things that I
right.
wanted in my
This is
life
what
partner
I want.
to manifest. And they
Exactly.
delivered. They delivered. Let me tell you, with
And,
this guy, and I told him that more than once. It's
and
crazy.
right. And if somebody comes
Crazy.
in and I'm like, well, wait, that's not what I want. Mm-mm.
It's
I
not the
didn't
way
pray for
you want
that.
it, but it's in there. It's the way, at least not the way you wanted it, maybe.
I want a really kind, loving,
Yeah.
passionate, gentle, um, supportive divine masculine who's in their divine masculine energy, non-judgmental. We are all on different
Right.
paths. We all have different paths that we've chosen to walk here. I want somebody who is really patient and understanding and loving, um, and kind and passionate. Yeah. So there are certain things that I want. And if somebody and transparent,
Yeah.
honest,
That's
big on
exactly how he
honesty,
is. Yep.
transparent, nothing hidden.
Yep.
And just be open and understanding. So that's yeah, if somebody comes in and they're not transparent, I'm like, I can't do that.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
the sword goes up. The sword's
Yeah.
already up at the beginning. You got to work past that,
Sorry.
actually.
Yeah, exactly. You
You got to
do.
prove yourself.
You have to get past the sword and be consistent. But
Right.
um
And I
yeah.
did. I made him very consistent. I tested a lot,
I'm so happy for you.
Yep. Yeah. He's been very
Um,
consistent, very upfront and like you said, the transparent about things that he's done in the past and he's worked through and done a lot
I
of
love it.
healing and changing. And of course I was like observing, him in the last month or so and how he interacts with me and others to kind of see, proof of that and things. And I see a lot of proof that he's done a lot of inner work and
Oh
he's
my
continuing to do
gosh.
that. So I actually, the first 3 days that we were talking, we couldn't stop talking to each other. We'd talk to each other all night if we could. And I helped him work through a healing a wound, an inner wound. And he helped me work through an inner
That's
wound, healing
beautiful.
release, emotional release. And so in the first 3 days, it was like that. So I knew that this person was special. I knew that,
That's
and I was
beautiful.
guided to tell him, I'm like, look, he already gave me his number in case I had issues with the lawnmower, which I did. And I had to ask him to immediately come over. And, we ended up having to order a part and all this stuff. It's a long story. But when he came over and he was trying to fix it, we got to talking. He kept asking me more questions about, my ex and like all kinds of stuff. And we were sharing these stories. And I was like, man, like there's a strong connection here. It's crazy. Um, and I just told him, I'm like, here, you got my number. I said, let's talk. Let's do some more talk. I'd like to get to know you a little better. I was just guided to do that. And look what it turned into, Like I followed my
Wow.
guidance. I wasn't scared. I was timid, as far as like trusting it, but I had to learn how to begin trusting my intuition. And I was already being guided to do that. And so I thought, well, I need to learn how to follow my intuition when I feel a pull to say something, share my number and say, hey, call me. Like I want to, continue this conversation and do that. I need to learn how to go with it
That's
and trust
awesome.
myself. And I did that. And I was glad I did that and
Oh
not
my
shut myself
gosh.
down like I usually do.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh, Jasmine. So we're about at your hour. I think
Yep.
I'm gonna call this this is gonna be mostly about your twin flame and your kingdomspouse journey.
Okay.
I would love for you to come back on.
Yeah, I'd love to do that too.
That'd
Yeah.
be amazing. I'm so happy for you.
And if you want to come back on mine,
I would love to.
okay,
I
great.
would love to.
I'm excited to have some more guests. So I appreciate you asking me to come on here. I really hope this helps some people out there, give another perspective on, from my journey, to kind of maybe relate to. So
Absolutely. So if you could leave something with the people watching, any guidance with regards to um, love, self-love, your divine counterpart, anything you want that would be beneficial to inspire
self-love,
them.
that you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that was perfect. Self-love, do not discount how important self-love is. In all aspects of your life, you need to be looking at that. How can I show myself more self-love? It could be more time alone. It could be doing something special for yourself, buy yourself some flowers, take a nice bubble bath, have a glass of wine, whatever it is, give yourself something and try to do it consistently, at least, pretty regularly, once a week, do give yourself a bubble bath or something, whatever it is you treat yourself with. But that's so important. I had to learn how to even touch my body, in a way that I wanted to be touched. I had to learn how to be comfortable with that touch, because I
Yeah,
wasn't always comfortable with certain people touching me in certain ways and just caressing myself and telling myself I love you and you're beautiful. That is so important. That's a form of self-love too. Doing that for
absolutely.
yourself, things that you want a masculine to do for you, treat you like. You need to try to do that for yourself first. That's
Absolutely.
so important.
I agree.
That changed me probably the most was learning how to love myself and allow myself to love myself. It's kind of crazy. But just putting it, do it for myself first and then learn how to receive. That's what I'm learning right now is learning
To
how
receive.
to be more in my receptive feminine, which this masculine definitely puts me in. He's to take charge, like he wants to take all the details and handle it. And that's what I was looking for. That's what I need. I'm tired of being the masculine all the time. you know? It's
Yeah,
time for me to be in my feminine era and in my receptive time and learn how to receive love. And I told him that. And so I feel like that's probably the most important thing for people to learn right now is learn how to love yourself fully. Love
right,
yourself.
right. Thank you, Jasmine, so much.
You're welcome.
It's wonderful. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me and Jasmine tonight. We're sending you so much love, and we pray that you're always surrounded by the Most High God's love, protection, and blessings. Good night, everyone. Bye, Jasmine.
Bye. Thank you again.
Thank
Bye.
you.
I walk with faith. You've never failed, not once before. Why would you now, my Lord? So I lay it all in open hands and follow where you stand. You're the breath inside my chest. I'll trust you with the rest. I walk with faith, not with fear. Every step